Jamie, and thank you all for being willing to come out today and support the arts and to interface with another celebration. So I'm really very grateful that you are being such good citizens. So the first poem is titled Pair. And it comes from my experience as a hospice nurse answering a phone when I was in triage. And I got a call from the wife of the patient. So that sets up the poem. Bed sores bloom on his bony hip, his elbow, his heel. Lying on his side, pillows pushed behind his back, the nurse scolds. You must stay like this. His speech is blurred, but peering through hospital bed rails, he makes his need known. A pair. He wants a pair. After chemo, his appetite disappeared. But today, he eats this cold, sweet pear, as if it were the last bit of fruit on earth. What was the first woman's last name? Legacy of ownership. Lucy doesn't have a last name, only an archaeological designation, Australopithecus. Her last name, lost, erased so far back no one knows. My first name is there on linen, in ink, from a quill perhaps, on a shelf in my damp Florida guest room closet, linen rolled, frayed, forgotten, inked family tree. 1605, 1793, 1814, 1901. The H has been lost on Suhana, and before that, Johanna, and finally, Susanna. Biblical name, White Lily, although no one would dare compare great-grandmother so formally dressed, always in black taffeta, rigorous, stiff collar edged in severe lace. Matriarch, merchant class, sea voyages out of Baltimore Harbor to convents in Bruges and Brussels. Lace fashioned by the sisters, sold in New York and Boston, an age of innocence. Murderous fashion, ostrich plumes and beaver and fox fur, mother of pearl opera glasses. Named for her, still I am not hers. Instead, I am my father's daughter. His name, my grandfather's granddaughter, not my mother's or my grandmother. Her name became his name, and her name became his name, and her name became his name, and her name became his. So, without fullness, half-named, first names, my female forebears are unnamed, renamed, claimed by the man's name. Their family names are still not theirs, but the husbands, brothers, landowners, sperm donors. My women are the vessels, the carriers. What was the first woman's last name? 17 celebratory names for God. The space between mist and canal water at 6 a.m. The look in my dog's eyes when babies cry. The smell of toast hanging in the air at the diner. Sitting with an old friend in silence on the back porch. Remembering that first kiss as you climbed over the restaurant table to cup my face. Finding the second sock when I'm running late. Moonlight sneaking around the edges of blackout curtains. Crawling between clean sheets after a hot shower. Finding the second shoe when I am running late. Just enough ice cubes left in the ice cube tray. Blooming orchids on the back fence. The sound of my sister's laughs at something I've said. Finding just the right spot to stretch out in bed. The surprising speed of a turtle heading for water. the undulations across the lawn of a river otter. My brother surviving and living happily ever after. Greenwich Mean Time, 6:15 Friday a.m., Mazar-e-Sharif, Afghanistan. Shireen and her aunt, 3 of her sisters, cower in the corner of their upstairs bedroom. Their father, Nabib, is filling square metal cans with kerosene, tying rugs and trunks, saddlebags to the family mules. The girls have hidden books among clothes, covered their hair, bowed their heads, and prayed Allah will guide them across the plains, away from Mazar-e-Sharif, away from men who want names on a list, books burned, faces covered. 9:15 p.m. Thursday, epicenter Port-au-Prince. Jean-Pierre, Nadine, and Claudette heard it first, like a groan from the earth. Then they stumble against each other, watch the face of a building ripple like a wave in the Port-au-Prince harbor, then peel away, a mango skin falling in strips from great heights to the sidewalk. Street lamp posts sway, and the stoplight at the intersection flashes red, 5:15 a.m. Friday, Ankara, Turkey. Flames, the colored brass bowls in the bazaar, flare across the hills outside of the town. Wild rabbits, goats, and grazing sheep are doomed, while panicked wild ponies run down stone-cobbled streets. The fishmonger, turban maker, and university professor gather their families, call their families, move their families closer to the harbor, closer to safe ground. 6:15 p.m., Thursday, Irvine, California. She places dry cleaning near the door for Maria to take in the morning. He kicks off his golf shoes. Then Sid and Sylvia sip on Manhattans and watch the last of their show in the blue light of the TV news. Sid snores a little, hands folded on his rounded belly. Sylvia massages her face and ample cleavage with cream guaranteed to firm and tighten. And I just want to tell you that that poem came out of the news where all 4 of those things were happening all at the same time, so I just wanted to. Thank you. And this is the last. Mouth of the Rat Catcher. The accretions of family secrets weigh heavily on the rat catcher. His bony hands tremble as he fills the gas tank. His lips tremble when he confronts his wife about her multiple whispered phone calls in the night. His wife adds up her household allowance to see if she can afford a one-way ticket to Ibiza, which she is careful to pronounce with a lisp. The sky divides into 2 equal sections, the sun of the living and the smoke of the dead. A boy is scolded and told he won't add up to much, while the next-door neighbor divides her tulip bulbs, then wraps them and adds them to the burlap bag. The rat catcher ponders the multiple years he has been on the lam, the countless times he has changed his name. How many equations of memories now belong to someone else? He watches the columns of smoke rise from December night fires, counts on the next train passing slowly enough to finally subtract him from this town and move him down the tracks. Thank you. And I'd like to introduce my co-host and co-director, Judy Ireland. Judy Ireland